5. Yeah. Okay, here we go. What's up, boys? What's up? I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to get loaded in here. Get ready. Today's going to be a good one. I am pumped. I am so stoked. Today is going to kick it off. Oh, yeah. Paul, if you wouldn't mind throwing a little message into the Discord to let them know what's up, I'd really appreciate that. Oh. Good. I see some boys and girls joining our chats here. Y'all getting ready? You getting ready? I hope you are. I hope you got your drinks ready too. Because it's about time for us to go ahead and kick it off. So, first of all, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the very best part of your week. It's called Live with Jack. Hi, I'm Jack, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to build ridiculous levels of confidence, even if you're starting from zero. We're going to go all the way to the end on this, and I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to just own the world. But if you would like to truly enjoy today's lesson, if you would like to take it all the way up to orgasmic levels, reach the height of humanity, the culmination of all of civilization, all you need to do is grab your glass, your mug, or your flask, a chalice, a stein, or even a cask. Raise it high, let's make a splash. It's time now for our libation bash. Toast the night and enjoy the mood. Together now, we drink some booze. On your mark, let's not wait. It's cheers with chaps, so don't be late. Cheers. I see you there, Sierra. Cheers to you. Oh, yes. Rock and or roll. That is delicious. I'm going to put us full screen. Paul, I'm going to be counting on you to bring chats in whenever they come in so that I can get a decent recording. Now, let's go ahead and jump into this. But before we do, I want to let you guys know, some of you might already know this, but for those of you who don't, today is going to be very special. I have a special gift for all of you guys. Wait! I almost forgot my cool light. I'm distracted today. My mind's all over the place because I've spent the last week or so going nonstop to prepare a very special gift for you guys today. So make sure that you stick around till the end of the lesson so that you can get your free gift. And by the way, I'll go ahead and tell you what it is, right? It's our brand new mini course that we just created. That is the 4-line script that anybody can use anywhere you are to get a date like that. And for the last week, I've been testing this. And I've sent this out to people, not just here in Korea where I am, but also in other countries around the world. And I've given it to some of my current clients as well. And guys, it is working like a charm. It's working like a charm. One of my clients was having a hard time even getting attention, getting girls to pay attention to him at all, much less getting a date. And you know what? He applied the 4-line script and boom, it got him a date like that, like magic. That's why it's called the magic 4-line script. So make sure that you stick around so that you can get early access to it because it's not even available publicly yet. You guys are getting the beta test version and you're going to get it for free for being part of the community and being such loyal followers and watchers and viewers. So I hope you're excited for that. But what am I doing? We need to talk about our lesson first. So let's go ahead and jump into this. We're talking about building confidence and not just feeling good about yourself or being a little bit confident or doing like affirmations in the mirror. I think I can. I think I can. No bullshit like that. I'm talking about the levels of confidence that I have to rock up into the bar like I did last weekend when I rocked up in there wearing like some just Birkenstocks and like a torn up t-shirt and like, I don't give a shit. I'm here to party. Let's get it going. And at the beginning, everybody was like, what's this guy doing? The girls wouldn't even pay attention to me. But then the cult of personality, the energy that I brought to everything, flipped it all on its head. And we ended up having an amazing night. Why? Because I said the right words? No, not at all. Because of the level of confidence that I walked in with, that I just knew. I own this place. I know what's going on. And I'm going to make your night better as a result. So you're welcome, and check it out. This is how to do it. The first thing you need to do is you need to understand how your language and your worldview, I'm going to get myself a marker, how your language and your worldview affect your confidence and the way that you view things. You see, the way that you talk is a direct reflection of the way that you think and the way that you see the world. But here's the fun fact, is that the way that you see the world and the way that you think is also a direct reflection of the way that you talk. They feed off of one another, which means that if you change one, you can change the other. This is one of the biggest things that I have to teach guys whenever they come in with very low confidence is changing their self-talk, the way that you even talk to yourself. The words that you choose to use can make a huge difference in everything. For example, the difference between, do you think you'd like to get a drink with me? Or, hey, let's get a drink sometime. Night and day. Same concept, same basic idea, but the word choice is entirely different. That first one, do you think that you would like to, is almost expecting the no. And the thing is that if you actually expect the no, you will subconsciously use words like that. You will choose to use words and phrases that betray that lack of self-confidence, that will negatively affect your results. And they actually create a form of self-sabotage, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. But you can change this around by using positive self-talk, by talking to yourself in a positive way, by saying, I know she wants to have a drink with me, so let's just offer her to have a drink with me, if that's what it is that you want, right? You talk to yourself differently, and you learn to believe things differently. You learn to see the world completely differently. And as you choose to see the world, which we're going to get into in a minute, we're going to talk about how to make that choice. But as you choose to see the world, it will affect what you perceive in the world. And as we already know, perception is reality, and that will directly affect the way that you talk to yourself, which will directly affect your confidence, which will directly affect your results, which will directly affect the worldview that you have, and you end up creating a virtuous cycle where you have all of these positive thoughts and positive viewpoints all coming together to create essentially a snowball effect that goes and grows and grows and grows and doesn't stop, because you're constantly reinforcing the positive beliefs with the positive words, with the positive actions that lead back to the positive beliefs, right? So learning how to talk to yourself first in a positive way instead of in a negative way. Instead of saying, I did 20 approaches and 19 of them said no. That's terrible. Instead, it's, I only had to do 20 approaches to get a date. Shit. If I knew it was that easy, I would be doing this all the time. 20 approaches is nothing. If that's the cost to get a date, that's a cheap cost. Now, the difference is the way that you talk about it. There's no difference on the ground in what happened. The only difference is in the way that you acknowledge it. And when you do that, you start to create that virtuous cycle. Now, if you don't do this, or if you only do it half-heartedly, if you don't go all the way in on it, then what's going to happen is in the back of your mind, that ego back there, the one that always yells at you and says like, oh no, don't do the approach. Oh, she won't like you. Oh, but what if, but what if, but what if? That guy back there the one that's your enemy, we've talked about this before. Your ego is your enemy. And that guy back there will absolutely sabotage you. And he'll sabotage you at every step because he wants to be proven right. And this is something that you will subconsciously do. You won't even think that you're doing it. You won't realize that you're doing it. So, like I said earlier, in the word choice you use, things that small, even something as small as your body language. If you are going to do the approaches, but then subconsciously you just kind of like stick your hands in your pocket and you kind of start slouching a bit more and you get the turtleneck going on and then you're kind of, well, hey there. And then even if you say the exact right words, it's not going to work for you. And then you're going to say, oh yeah, it's because of me. It's because there's something wrong with me. And there kind of is, but it's that guy. It's the ego back there that's sabotaging you in everything that you do. So every time that your ego tries to fuck with you, punch him in the face, tell him to eat shit and die, and then double down and do it even harder. Because that's the way that you actually start to create this self-fulfilling prophecy, which again, we're going to return to a little later, and you start to create a virtuous cycle of success. Now, let's talk a little bit about the choice of belief, because this is an incredibly powerful concept that seems, actually, a lot of this stuff is going to seem kind of like woo-woo, spiritual, mumbo-jumbo, hippy-dippy bullshit. Hear me out, though, okay? You have a choice in what to believe. Any given situation has basically an infinite number of explanations, right? Something as simple as, I walked up to a girl, I tried to approach her, I tried to start a conversation, and she immediately just turned and walked away. She didn't even say anything. She didn't even look at me. Why did she do that? Okay. You can choose what to believe here because there's no correct answer. I mean, there probably is in her head, but she might not even know because most people aren't aware of why they do the things that they do. Most people aren't that self-aware. So even in her mind, there might not actually be an objectively correct answer. Now, that said, you can never, ever know what the actual correct answer is, if there even is one. So you have the choice of what to believe. If you're letting your ego sabotage you, then it's going to tell you things like, oh, she thinks that you're ugly. Oh, maybe you stink. Oh yeah, that's it. It's you stink. Oh, it's all about you and it's your fault and it's da, 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 and it's all this stuff. Might be. Also, equally plausible explanation would be she really has to take a shit and she needs to find a bathroom right now. And so she's just kind of like shuffling off, trying to pinch her cheeks together. Also, totally possible explanation. How do you know which? Maybe she didn't hear you. Maybe she's deaf. Who knows? Also possible. You have no way of knowing. And so you can choose what to believe here. So sometimes I'll have people come to me with deeply held negative self-beliefs, and they'll say things like, no, Jack, this is just the truth. These are just the facts. But they're not, right? They might be the facts. They might be the truth. But when you have no way of knowing, which you don't in almost any circumstance, then you get to choose what to believe. So when you have the choice of what to believe, it is always better to choose the belief that serves you, the belief that better helps you get to where you're going. So if you have infinite explanations, then you need to understand that you can interpret things however you want, and you can choose to believe things in a way that really reinforces your positive self-talk if you want it to. Now, I'm not talking about lying to yourself. That's a totally different thing here. We're not talking about lying to ourselves, right? Because if you're lying to yourself about things that you know you need to fix, that is a completely different problem, a completely different issue. But if you're choosing to believe something that serves you versus something that absolutely holds you back and makes you worse, then that's a good choice. You should only believe the negative things when they are incontrovertibly true, and believing those things will help you to fix them so that you can improve and do better. In that case, the negative belief is serving you more. So pay attention. You need to be self-aware. Be more aware than the girl who needed to take a shit, and understand what it is that you're believing, what it is that you're thinking, and why you're thinking that thing, why you're feeling that, and ask yourself, does this belief serve me? Does this help me to get better, to improve? If so, great, let's use it. If not, discard entirely, find a different belief that also plausibly explains the situation and stick to that one. It might even just be that one belief is more entertaining, is more fun. Like the belief that the girl is running off to the bathroom. That's just funny. It doesn't really serve you any, but it also doesn't hurt you, and it's more interesting. So it helps to reinforce more of the positive self-talk and more of the virtuous cycle. Now, the reason that this particular technique is so very powerful is because if you use it well and you use it often, it changes your perception of how you view things. And as we've talked about before, perception is reality. Now, we've talked about this before in terms of the way that you present yourself to women is the reality of you that they see, that they know. So their perception of you is your reality in their mind. But the same thing is true for you. However you choose to perceive the world is the reality that you are living in. Don't believe me? Check this out. Have you ever wondered why politics always seem to be split pretty much 50-50? And no matter what happens, both sides seem to have like a rational argument, if you're able to view it objectively, which is tough to do. They have a rational argument and a reason, but they're both technically correct, and yet also they are diametrically opposed. How is that possible? How is it possible that two people can look at the exact same situation and come to completely different conclusions, both of which can be backed up by facts and evidence? Because there is no objective truth. Because their choice of belief, the way that they perceive things, is their reality. They are literally watching two movies on the same screen. They're seeing two completely different worlds with the same set of objective facts. So, understand this. The way that you choose to perceive the world and the things that you choose to believe literally change everything about how you see any situation. That is the power of the choice of belief. So instead of having your beliefs assigned to you, instead of having it be just whatever bullshit your ego makes up, actively choose, because you will have beliefs. You absolutely will. The only question is, did you choose them, or did somebody else choose them and give them to you? Do you want the agency to control your own viewpoint and your own thoughts about the world? If so, make that choice. Choose what to believe actively, and you'll be able to literally change everything about the world that you live in, because you're choosing what world you want to create with your beliefs. Because remember, perception is reality. And if you choose what to believe, it alters your perception, which therefore alters your reality. So you're actually choosing what reality to live in. And that's a choice that everybody can make. Wild, I know, but absolutely powerful, and you can use this. Now, the next concept I want to talk about here is the zone of expectation. This is a really interesting one because this is something that we all experience in different ways. Have you ever lost something, thought that you lost something, but it was in plain sight? Maybe you always keep your car keys in a basket by the door, but this time you set them on the kitchen table. And now you're looking for your car keys and you can't find them at all. and your kitchen table is entirely empty. The car keys are the only thing on it. They're smack in the middle. There's nothing covering them up. There's nothing hiding them. And you're standing there staring at the kitchen table, and you cannot see the car keys, even though they're there. This is a wild phenomenon, and the reason that you can't see them is because they aren't where you expect them to be. So your mind literally becomes blind to them. If you want to use fancy words on it, it's a concept called cognitive blindness. And if you've ever seen like that old video of the guys passing a basketball around and you're supposed to count how many times they pass the basketball, but while they're doing that, a guy in a gorilla suit just walks across the screen and it's really obvious. But while you're counting the basketball, you don't see it at all. It's the same idea. Now, how does that affect our confidence? How does that affect dating? Jack, you're just talking about weird psychological bullshit that has no relevance here. No, that's not at all true. You see, whenever we're using our positive self-talk and whenever we're creating our virtuous cycle to constantly reinforce all of these good things in our life, and whenever we're choosing what to believe, to reinterpret the things that we see and the things that we experience in a positive way, then we start to expect those things. And just like with the car keys and just like with the gorilla, you will see what you expect. You will always see what you expect. And whenever something is out of the ordinary, away from what you expect, it's easy to write it off as, oh, well, clearly there's something wrong here. Not me. I am excellent. I am doing very well. Look, here's an easy version of this. I haven't taken a girl home with me since 2018 because that's when I met Lady North. But even though I haven't taken a girl home in over 6 years, I still have full confidence that if I went out to a bar and I wanted to, I could. How? How is that possible? I have no evidence to back me up over the last 6 years, and I've only gotten older, grayer, fatter, balder since then. So why would I think that? Well, because it's the thing that I expect. Because my positive self-talk is excellent. My choice of beliefs is excellent, and I constantly reinforce that. And so as a result, I expect to get good results with women. And so whenever I go out and I start talking to girls and I start chatting with them and we're having a good time, I'm having a good time, they're having a good time, I know where this could lead if I want to. Do I need proof to back it up? No, because it's already what I expect. And I already see enough of the evidence there that to my mind, to my perception, this is proof. I see what I expect to see. Now, if the situation were reversed, if I had negative self-talk, if I didn't have a virtuous cycle, but instead I had a vicious cycle. I thought I wrote that in here. Whatever. Avoiding a vicious cycle is what I should have put here. But anyway, if instead I had a vicious cycle of constant negative reinforcement, then I would be sitting here out at the bar thinking like, oh man, if I were ever single again, I would have no idea what to do. And everybody would hate me and nobody would like me. And all of these girls, they don't even want to be with me. They're only here because Julius is here and he's so handsome and I'm so not, and all of this. And I would create this thing because that's what I expected. And as a result, people wouldn't really want to be around me because they would perceive me differently and their perception is their reality too. So, how can we use this to our advantage? Well, the easiest thing that you can do is only acknowledge the things that serve you. So here's an example. Last weekend, whenever I went to the bar, I talked to probably a dozen different girls out there at the bar before I don't remember what happened later. But even though I talked to a dozen girls, some of them responded very favorably to me. Some of them were having a great time with me. Some of them joined in and we were having drinks and joking and playing games. And those are the ones that I remember. Those are the ones that I acknowledge. Now, there were also some girls there who wanted nothing to do with me. I looked like a fucking hobo. So of course there were some of them that wanted nothing to do with me. That's fine. I literally don't acknowledge them. My mind just filters them out. Like, I don't remember them at all. I know that they were there. I'm aware of it, kind of, because this is my job and I pay attention to things like that. But I don't actually acknowledge them as part of the evening at all. Why? Because it doesn't serve me in any way. It doesn't help me to create the zone of expectation that I want to use, that I want to see. So you just choose to create the zone of expectation that you want, the things that you want to expect, which you will then see, which will then further reinforce the positive self-talk, which will then further reinforce the beliefs, which will then further reinforce with results. You see what I mean? All of this comes together to create a virtuous cycle that is constantly building you up and up and up and ushering in a ridiculous amount of confidence. Because what is confidence? Confidence is just the presence of so much evidence that it cannot be denied, right? This thing is so obviously true to me because I have experienced it so many times that I don't even think about it. I cannot deny that this is the case. That is what confidence is. Now, you can have negative confidence as well, but why? When you can choose all of these things, why? So don't engage with the negative at all. Focus on the things that will further reinforce all of the positive things that you're expecting, which will reinforce the beliefs, which will reinforce the self-talk, which reinforces the beliefs, which reinforces the results, which reinforces what you expect. That is the virtuous cycle. Now, once you've done this part, the choice part, this is where it gets really interesting. Have you guys ever heard of the prophetic perfect tense? Now, I've been teaching English for nearly 2 decades, and I'd actually never heard of this before. But I heard it earlier this week on a YouTube channel called Psych Hacks. I love that guy. He's great. One of my favorites. Highly recommend you check it out. But in this video, he was talking about the prophetic perfect tense and how it relates to an unshakable level of confidence. And that's what actually got me thinking about this topic, is the idea that something is so certain to be true that even though it hasn't happened yet, you talk about it in the past tense. That is a wild level of confidence. And that's why it largely exists in religion and in religious texts, hence the name prophetic perfect. But here's the thing, is that you can become your own self-fulfilling prophecy by doing these things, by creating your own expectations of this is what will obviously happen. This is the thing that it just has to happen. Like, there's not another option. The same way that I'm so confident that if I drop this marker, it will fall. Wow, look at that. I'm a genius. I'm able to predict the future. No, it's just something that is so obvious that of course I'm confident in making that prediction. That's how you can create your world and your worldview so that you feel the same way. Of course, whenever I talk to the girl, she's going to want to hang out with me. Now, she might not be able to. She might not have the emotional capacity right now. You know, maybe she's having a bad day, or maybe she has a boyfriend, or maybe she's married, and so she just doesn't have the room in her life for me. But I know that she wants to hang out with me. She just might not be able to. Now, if that's the belief that I truly hold, that I really and truly hold, then I will be able to see that in everything. And anything that doesn't serve that belief, there's no need to acknowledge it. And the things that do serve that belief further reinforce what I expect. So if you're able to shift your perception to further reinforce what you expect, to create literally a self-fulfilling prophecy, to view things in such a strongly confident and unshakable level that nothing can convince me otherwise, then what happens from there? You are literally at 100% confidence, right? There's nothing anybody can say to shake that. Now, here's the thing, is you might be thinking to yourself, well, I don't have that level of confidence in anything. But you do. You actually do. You already do. You just don't have that level of confidence yet in talking to women, in dating. Sure. Yeah, you don't have that right now, but you could. You have that level of confidence in some things. You have that level of confidence in your ability to walk, in your ability to speak your native language. Nobody could ever tell me under any circumstances that I don't speak English. That's simply not a thing. I mean, they could, but I just laugh at them. Like, oh, okay, cool, man. Neat. I want some of what you're smoking. Because it's an unshakable core belief. And you can develop your core beliefs by choice. Here's the thing is that you already have core beliefs, and you might not be aware of what they all are, but you do have them. A lot of them are assigned to you by society, by circumstance, by your perception of the world, by how you view situations around you, things like that, by your friends, by your family, by your culture. You might have some core beliefs already installed in you, like the software that comes installed on your phone whenever you get a new phone. You know, it's not blank, it's not empty. So what's on it? That's your core beliefs that you already hold. Now, here's the thing, is that with core beliefs, just like with all the other beliefs, you can choose to keep them if you want, if they serve you. But if they don't, toss them. Yeet! Get rid of them. Because they aren't serving you, because they aren't helping you. Get rid of them and replace them with something else that does. Replace them with the beliefs that actually do help you to create that virtuous cycle, to reinforce your positive self-talk and your positive views of the world around you. Because if you're able to do that, if you're able to reinstall your own new core beliefs, essentially jailbreak your mind and choose what to install and what to take out, you get to design your own world. You get to literally make the world be whatever you want. Completely your choice. Everybody is living in their own world. And some of us have more overlap than others, but they are living in a world where everything seems to make sense to them in their own way. The same way that, like I said earlier, right? Somebody can look at Donald Trump right now and say he's clearly a felon and a traitor to the country. He has 91 felony indictments against him. This is clearly the most criminal person that we've ever had in office. And also, somebody else can look at the exact same set of facts and say, this is clearly a patriot. He is clearly being persecuted for political reasons, and he's clearly a victim of the system. And they both have evidence to back up their claims, and they both completely believe that they are 100% right, and nothing can shake that belief. That's the core belief. That's the power of it. They have chosen or been assigned a world of their own. And they're living in that world very happily, and everything makes sense, and everything checks out, and everything obviously fits together, even though they are completely polar opposite. So I'm not even exaggerating a little bit whenever I say you can design your own world. You can choose what world to live in by simply choosing how to think, what to believe, how to perceive all of that, and what you choose to expect and reinforce. If you do that, if you choose those things, if you jailbreak your mind and uninstall the core beliefs that don't serve you and install the core beliefs that do, you get to design your own world, and you get to live in that world as happily and as without any cognitive dissonance, right? So as cognitively sonorous as possible, and you will be that much happier for it because you're tossing out the crap that just makes you miserable. When you know that the whole world you're living in is by choice, and every belief that you have is serving you, and everything you see makes you feel happier and more confident in all of your beliefs every single day because it all reinforces itself, of course, you have a ridiculous, unshakable, religious level of confidence in yourself. And this is exactly how you go from zero confidence to literally being He-Man, master of the fucking universe. So, that was a lot. Now, with all that said, if you've made it this far, a couple of things to run through. First off, if you've made it this far, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you could do me a big favor and drop a thumbs up on the video, I would truly appreciate that. Every little like helps the channel grow. It helps more people to see what we're doing, and it helps us to get this message out to guys who really need it. So please like the video. Now, before we get into the live Q&A, let me give you your free gift. Starting about 30 minutes ago, a website came up and it went live, and now you can access the new mini course completely for free. I should preface this by saying it is still in the beta test version. As in, I still think that there are problems with some of the videos aren't loading right, and we don't even have the landing page set up right, but you can access the inside course and the content, which also includes the magic 4-line script that we've been testing all around the world, and you can get it completely for free until Sunday night at midnight, my time. So all you need to do is there's a link at the top of the description in this video. You click that link, and then where it says coupon code, type in the letters JNC. JNC. See? Yeah, that's what it is. That's all you have to do, and that will give you 100% off coupon, and you can access the course, lifetime access, never going to go away, but you have to use the coupon before Sunday at midnight. So make sure that you click the link in the description below and type in the coupon code JNC, and that will give you complete access to the course. I know the landing page is literally just a checkout box right now. I know that is still under development. The inside is still under development as well, but the content is there. Even if some of it is having questionable loading difficulties, you're in the beta version. You get free early access. That's what it is. But you still get it for free. So once I updated it all and it's all looking pretty and running smoothly, you'll still have it. So make sure, go ahead, click that link down there, sign up for the free mini course, the 2-day date dare mini course, coupon code JNC, and I will see you inside. Now, with all that said, housekeeping out of the way, let's go ahead and move into everybody's favorite part of the week, the live Q&A. Polly Pocket, come on in, buddy. How are you doing?
What's up? I'm doing great.
Good. Oh, I'm going to turn off our little recorder up here because screw that. And move this down here to catch me. How have you been, buddy? We've missed you for the last little bit.
Yeah, I've been busy with work.
Can you do the thing that you did before when you fixed your microphone? Because you sound under.
There we go.
Oh, that's so much better.
Stupid Restream thinks that my web camera is a microphone.
Yeah, it'll do it. Yeah, Restream gives me issues too, but it seems to work. Do you know if the new chat bot is working? Is that connected for us?
I do not think so.
Okay. All right, well, I'll deal with testing that later. Hey, if you guys who are watching live, if y'all are also in the Discord, try typing something into the Discord chat in the live streams channel. Because if I've set the bot up correctly, which I never set anything up right the first time, but if I set that, damn, that's an example of negative self-talk, and I see what I believe. Now it's not going to work. Ah! Okay, well, if I've set it up correctly, like I always do, because I'm a genius, the
Yes,
greatest
it
genius
works.
who's ever lived. It worked.
Yes, it worked.
Look at that. I changed my self-talk and it literally changed reality. That's what just happened right there. Fuck yeah. I'm a fan. Oh,
Yeah, are you
okay.
ready for the Q&A?
I am absolutely ready. Hit me with number one, buddy.
Number one, how can you find confidence when you're doing your whole life women have just rejected you?
Okay. This comes to the choice of belief. What have women rejected? What have they rejected? Like, you can choose how to view this. You can say, women have rejected me because they all hate me. They think that I'm disgusting. They think I'm terrible. I'm no good, very bad, all that nonsense. Or you can say, women rejected the version of me that I was showing them. Or women rejected me because I wasn't direct enough. Or women rejected me because I was trying to like be in the friend zone and then weasel my way in. I was trying to nice guy my way in. And so of course they were rejecting me because they were rejecting that strategy. So this really comes back to how you choose to look at it and how you choose to talk to yourself about it. If you use the words, women were rejecting me, then you are choosing to paint that in a horribly negative light. Because the assumption built into that sentence, even if you don't intend it to be, the assumption built into that sentence is that women were able to see 100% of me. They looked at the total package and they said, no fucking thanks. Highly unlikely that that's the case. So, given that, it's an unlikely to be true belief, then we need to figure out, okay, cool, what would actually explain this better and would serve us better? So women were rejecting my presentation. Women were rejecting my tactics because I was trying nice guy tactics. Women were rejecting the fact that I was walking around fucking shirtless all the time. And it was really weird. Or like, whatever, right? It could be anything. But the first thing that you have to do to build the confidence is to throw out the base assumptions that were in that question of women always reject me, because there's a lot more to go into there. I realize that that's a very bird's eye view, like Google satellite view of how to build confidence and how to break out of things like that. But Paul, maybe you can help us reframe a little bit more like on the ground and in
I think
life.
yes. So I think like the first thing I would do is like I would focus on my strengths. Whenever like I feel that I'm lacking confidence, I revert back to things that I know that I'm really, really good at. Because being in that atmosphere gives me the confidence to be myself to my fullest. So what I would do in a situation where you feel like you're constantly getting rejected, and in order to be able to build confidence with women, I would actually start going for, okay, where are the areas in my life where I am really, really strong? Where can I show confidence? Whether it's towards a woman or not, doesn't really matter, but there has to be women present. And then once you start doing that, like you're in your environment, you're confident in your environment, then you can start talking to the women in that environment. And once you start talking to, say you're a really, really good dancer, as an example,
Sure.
then okay, but you feel like whenever you go to the bar, you get rejected. It doesn't matter. Go to the, go to your dancing classes where you are confident and start talking to the women there. It doesn't have to be for the purpose of getting a date or anything like that, but it's about being confident around women. And once you get good with that part, then you bring that confidence into your other aspects of your life and you behave in the same way as you do when you're talking to the girls at the dance studio. So I would kind of go with that approach, like where you start with some place where you are already strong, and then navigate from there and out into the bar, for example, if that's where you want to, like you feel like you're lacking confidence. The second part I would say is that confidence isn't necessarily everything. Some girls will reject you even if you're confident,
Oh
simply
yeah.
because they are busy. They have
Yeah.
other things, they're waiting for someone, or they just didn't like the 3 words you chose to say. It doesn't matter. Like, so try not to let, as Jack says, like, don't start self-hate just because you got rejected once, twice, or even 50 times.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. So
There
yeah,
there are women who I've spoken to personally who have used the words to me, Brad Pitt, he's ugly. And it's like, okay, cool. If even Brad Pitt is not attractive to everybody, I can't expect to be either. So you just accept that, right? That's built into the equation of what would I consider wildly successful. Like an insane level of success would be 1 in 10 women are attracted to you. That would literally be world breaking levels of success with women. So even that is building in a 90% failure rate. And that is incredibly high. So your view on everything, whether you choose to say like, oh, well, this girl rejected me and that girl rejected me and and it's like, okay, yeah, you can choose to look at it that way. But does that belief serve you? And 99 times out of 100, the answer is no, it will not serve you, right? Now, I do think that, like, I mentioned this when I was talking, but I kind of glossed over it a little bit, was that you shouldn't lie to yourself. And if you're getting constant feedback about something that you can change, then don't ignore that. Don't like put on blinders and like la 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 la, right? So if you're constantly going out and people are saying, you seem like a great guy, like, but why don't you just hit the gym once a week or something, right? If you're constantly getting feedback like that, then listen to it, because that's money, right? You're literally getting told, this is the thing that if you do this thing, then a lot of people are really going to like you. So if you're getting constant feedback of something that you can change, it's worth listening to. But block out the negative things that don't lead you towards some sort of positive outcome. So just saying like, oh, girls always reject me. Oh, everybody hates me. Like, okay, that doesn't give you anything. So be careful with that. We don't want to lie to ourselves, but we also don't want to go down a negative spiral.
okay. So question number 2 for today is: are women more attracted to confidence or a good sense of humor in a guy?
Those are the same thing. You
Yeah,
you can't have a good sense of humor without confidence. Like,
I would say. So I'm gonna add a third thing here, which is what I think they are actually attracted to. That is a guy who is comfortable in the situation. Because the second you, like a lot of things, like whenever you feel like you're lacking confidence, you appear nervous
mm,
or you appear stressed out.
mm,
So what, in at least in my experience, what girls tended to be very attracted to is a guy that I am comfortable in any situation. Like no matter what you throw at me, you're not gonna like kind of get me off my feet. Like I'm still solid where I am because I am so comfortable in this situation that no matter what you do or say, it is not going to affect me in any other way than if you physically push me, right? So it's more like they feel attracted to the sense of comedy and surety in that you have in the situation, rather than whether you're good sense of humor or good confidence. Because for the first, I don't have like some people will say I have a good sense of humor, and for others it's going to be really, really dark.
Yeah, I could see
So that
that.
is my take on like that whole thing. It's more about being comfortable than being confident.
Yeah, I agree entirely. And okay, so sense of humor. The more that I think through this, the more I think you hit the nail on the head there. Because a lot of times people will use humor as deflection when they're feeling unconfident, when they're feeling unsettled, they aren't feeling comfortable. And especially, this is almost always true with self deprecating humor. Self deprecating humor can work, but it only works when it's funny because the opposite seems to be true, right? It
Yeah.
works when the confidence level is so stupidly high that you then make some joke to bring yourself down, and everybody's like, oh yeah, that's funny because it doesn't match what I'm seeing. There's a disconnect here between what you're saying and what I'm observing. Now, if your confidence level is low and you try to use self-deprecating humor, it's going to bring everything else down. So be careful with self-deprecating humor, period. But I think that using humor as a wow, this situation is weird, this is awkward, I'm not feeling comfortable, I'm not feeling confident, so I'm going to try to make a joke instead to ease the tension. That sense of humor is not necessarily attractive. Could work in certain situations, but it's not generally going to be the most attractive thing that you can do there. But if you're totally comfortable and confident and you're making jokes and you're playing around, and even when your jokes don't land, it doesn't matter because that's how comfortable you feel, then that's what really works. And so that's what you were saying there, is that like being comfortable in the situation so that nothing can shake you, that's what actually lands.
Yeah, and in the situations where you are nervous, the best thing is to be honest with yourself. And you can
Sure.
actually be honest with whoever you're on a date with or trying to talk to too. Like, and you can make your nervousness into kind of you can make it into a joke that actually will work well. And you kind of play it off like something like, I'll have to be completely honest. I think you look so beautiful that I get nervous just sitting here talking to you. Like then you've been honest. You told her that you are nervous and
Mm.
that you are freaked out, and maybe you're not the most confident guy in the world, but the honesty will get you a lot further than trying to play it off cool if it's noticeably that you are actually nervous. And
That level of honesty betrays an amount of confidence that seems counterintuitive because you're basically saying,
yeah,
I don't feel confident here, but I'm confident enough to just tell you straight
that you
up,
know it.
yeah, like this
Yeah,
is what it is, right? We both know it. That's kind of funny, isn't it? Right?
yeah,
So, yeah, you can absolutely use that. That is a level of, I don't know about comfort with the situation, but at least comfort with yourself that you can acknowledge the reality. And so,
yes.
yeah, I do think that that's very attractive as well.
And then we're going to go to the opposite side of this. So, what are the downsides to being overly confident in dating, if there are any? I can tell you my experience because this one I genuinely have been told a couple times. And so, when you start to get up high in the confidence area, you also start to get higher in the arrogant area.
Ah.
Uh, so I remember, I think it's 3 or 4 different girls that told me that what they loved about me was that I was always walking the line between confident and arrogant.
Mhm.
And on the flip side, there is that whenever you get too much on the arrogant side, they start to dislike you, or they get kind of like these iffy feelings about you. And that can lead to some weird situations, a couple slaps here and there, a beer poured in your lap. It happens,
Shit
right?
happens.
Yeah, but other than that, like, yes, if you are too confident or not, then it's no longer confidence, then it's arrogance. Then you will start to notice that your success rate is going to start going down again. It, at least in my experience.
I think that the question really falls into, what are you confident about? Because if you're putting on false confidence about something, then it becomes arrogance, or it becomes like very plainly obvious that you're delusional, right? If I tried to claim that, like, oh, I'm the greatest guitar player alive today, Clapton, eat my shorts, right? Like, that, first of all, stupid to say. Second, like, arrogance beyond belief. And third, I can't back it up either, right? So, like, it becomes delusional and it becomes fucking wild. And that's, but that's a downside to delusional takes. That's a downside to unfounded confidence. Now, I get, like, what I was saying earlier about choosing your beliefs and seeing what you expect and only acknowledging the things that serve you. But there also has to be a level of realism to it. Like, so whenever I was talking about choosing your beliefs, one of the things that I said was there are basically infinite explanations for why a thing happened that do fit the circumstances you can observe. Now, that's the important thing, is that it has to fit the circumstances you can observe. So, me playing guitar, nobody, myself included, would observe that and agree that, like, oh, you being the best guitar player in the world fits these circumstances, right? So whatever belief that you choose to have, it does need to fit the circumstances, but you can also choose something that serves you, that pushes you towards your goals, towards your purpose, whatever else. And so you should have an appropriate amount of confidence in whatever it is. Like, I'm totally confident in playing guitar for people in public. I'm not good at guitar, but I know that I'm good enough. And I'm confident that in any given room, I will be better than 80% of people in that room at guitar. So, okay, cool. I'm confident to do that thing. There will also be people better than me. And that's okay. I won't ever say I'm the best or that I'm better than them or anything like that. But my confidence is correctly placed and I can follow through with that and I can deliver on that. Trying to be falsely overconfident doesn't serve me or anyone else. That's where things get into, like, almost kind of an arrogant category. And so there can be some dangers to that, to false confidence, to bravado, to stuff like that. You'll notice that despite my confidence in the dating sphere, I rarely tell stories of the things that I've done. I rarely talk about the girls that I've dated, that I've been with, because to me that feels more like bravado or, oh, hey, look at me. And I'll only ever bring it up if it's directly related to a point that I'm trying to make, or if it just, like, fits into a conversation, especially like boys' night, we're all drinking whiskey, we're kind of sharing stories, something like that, then fine. But I don't bring that up often, even though this is something I talk about every single day of my life. I don't bring up those stories because I'm not trying to show off. I'm trying to share, if that makes any sense at all. And so that's the same thing with, like, playing guitar. I'm not trying to show off. I'm just trying to share a good time with everybody. And if that's where you're coming at things, of, I'm confident that I can bring us a good time. Here, let's do this. We can share this thing together. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm not trying to make somebody say, oh, wow, look at him, he's so cool. Because that's like what we talked about last week with, like, the nice guy and bad boy behavior, where, like, it comes from a selfish place of needing that kind of acknowledgement from others and getting your validation from other people, that's where that bravado and that arrogance comes into play. So you want to keep that tamped down. But I would say that for most people, especially people who are going to be watching this stream or watching content like this, your problem is probably not overconfidence. Probably. Let's move on.
Yes. So then we have one more question, which is it's a little bit off topic, but I think it's a good question anyway, because it can technically be related back to a confidence problem.
Yeah.
And that is, what does it mean when you're seeing a girl and she starts becoming more and more sexual and is escalating on you rather than the other way around?
Oh, that's great news. That's great news. That means she feels really comfortable with you. That means that she feels open with you. It might, under certain circumstances, mean that you aren't escalating enough and she's trying to move things along quicker, especially if you're, like being hesitant and taking your time or something. But if you guys are already in a sexual relationship and she's opening up more, that's the way that I first understood this question. That's fucking great news, man. Like, that's awesome. You should meet her and keep going with her, right? Keep building, keep leading. Don't sit back and be like, okay, so what are you going to do for me today? You should still be in charge of this thing. But that's great news. You want girls to be open with you like that. You want them to share those things with you. Good. What do you think, Paul?
I think definitely that covers in the case of an already existing sexual relationship. Like the way I understood the question was that it's the opposite way around. Like you actually haven't gotten that far yet. And in that case, it probably means that she has been sending signals for a while and you haven't been picking up on them, which is why I think it's a confidence thing, because like once you get more comfortable and confident with women, you start picking these things up very fast when they start coming your way. But yeah, it definitely means she's interested and she wants it to go that way. And that she starts to take the lead because you didn't. The downside to that is that you are losing the frame long term if you let her keep doing it, and you actually have to take back control pretty fast. And if it is a honest thing that you have, for some reason, don't want to do it now, or that you want to take your time, you actually have to sit her down and talk about it. I think that's very important. Because sexual expectations, they go both ways, and if they are mismatched, things can go awry very fast.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That happens. And so you do need to have that talk if you're feeling like there's some sort of mismatch, things aren't there. But if you're just pussyfooting around and you're like, oh, I don't know if I should make the move. Oh, I don't want her to think I'm one of those guys, right? Like we talked about this last week. Don't worry about that. If you want to move things forward, push to move things forward. She can say no, right? She's a big girl. So if you want to push it into a more sexual relationship, push it into a more sexual relationship until she says no. And you find the place where you're both comfortable, and then that's where you are for now. And, things can progress, things can move, things can change, but just don't be a little bitch about it. Like, seriously, take ownership of your relationship, whatever the situation is, whether that means having a talk with her about a mismatch, whether that means stepping up and actually physically escalating, or whether that means seeing every raise that she makes for you and then call and up, right? Call and raise and call and raise and keep on bringing it up together until you find a place where one of you is no longer comfortable pushing it anymore, right? Like find the place where you're both the most comfortable and the happiest, and then that works. Do we have any questions in the chat? For you guys who are watching live, if you have any questions, type them into the chat and we can get to those as well.
There has been no questions so far.
No questions so far. Okay. I can't see the chat at all tonight, so I have no idea if we've got anything in there. We might just be, I mean, I can see by the view count that we're not talking to a dead audience, but who knows? If you guys in the comments have any questions, go ahead and put them in there, and we can field those too. I wonder what happened to Antonio. He was supposed to be here. I don't know. Last week he said he wasn't going to be here for like personal reasons, but okay. What practical steps can you do when feeling low self-esteem? Okay.
My first
Yeah.
thought was do something that you're already good at. Get your personal wins. Like, not everything has to be about what everyone else thinks. Sometimes you just have to win for yourself.
Yeah.
And that can be anything. It can be anything from video games to going to the gym and making a new PR, or just go on a hike. Like, whatever makes you feel accomplished. Like that you get that sense of accomplishment when you do something. That is the first thing I would do whenever I feel low self-esteem.
My self-esteem was destroyed at the end of my last relationship when the girl I was dating went to another country to go shack up with her ex to cheat on me. My self-esteem was shattered for a bit. But for me personally, in that situation, doing things like going to the gym didn't really help my self-esteem any, even though I was that was back when I was still in pretty good shape and I was going to the gym regularly, but like that didn't do anything for me or for my self-esteem. Or like video games or racking up wins in things that I knew I was already good at didn't do anything for my self-esteem, because to me those things felt like reading a kindergarten book and being like, my reading is the best. Like it didn't feel like an accomplishment at all. It just felt like, yeah, but you could always do that. That's not the thing that's rocking your self-esteem right now. What was rocking my self-esteem was my feeling of feeling unwanted, feeling rejected, feeling like nobody wanted to be with me by choice. And so what I did that completely restored my self-esteem was I called in all the boys. I called them all in. And I was like, all right, motherfuckers, here's the situation. This is what's just happened. You're all coming to meet me at our favorite bar tonight. I know some of you don't like each other. I expect you to put that shit to the side for one night. You're all coming in and you're all babysitting the fuck out of me while I sit there and yell and rant and rave and get as drunk as I fucking want. And you're going to hang out with me and you're going to pretend to like it at least a little bit. This is what's going to happen. And here's the thing is, every single one of them came through. Every single one of them showed up. Nobody made some excuse. And even though it was on like a fucking Tuesday night or something, they all still came out to support me, to help me. And what that did for me is it showed me like there are cool people who want to be with me by choice. And they care about me and they want to spend time with me and they want to see me do well. This is proof, undeniable evidence to me. So that means the girl was wrong and I am right. And my friends are awesome. And that threw my self-esteem right back up to where it needed to be, because I had the proof that I knew was there, but I needed to just have that reinforced for a moment. And that changed everything for me to help bring my self-esteem back up. So my advice would be figure out why exactly your self-esteem is low right now. And I don't mean the cause, I mean what part of your self-esteem is feeling missing. And then find a way to prove that thing wrong. Again, it doesn't have to be in the same way as the cause, right? Like, I didn't need to have another girl come home with me to prove that the girl was wrong. I just needed to restore my self-esteem, that people actively wanted to be with me, because that was the cause. Well, not the proximate cause, but that was the underlying issue of the lack of self-esteem. So figure out what that issue is, that underlying issue. I feel bad about myself because I, right now, temporarily, have a belief that this negative thing. And then find a way, any way, to prove that belief wrong. And accept the proof when you prove it wrong. Don't try to find other ways around it and be like, oh, but that doesn't count because da 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 da. Find some way to prove it wrong and then accept that proof and say, okay, cool, awesome. I knew I was worried about nothing. Now back to business as normal. That would be my actual on the ground advice of what to do if you're feeling low self-esteem.
Yeah, and now let's take that a step further, because Crow has the same question. But what do you do if you're feeling low while out at the bar or on a date? And
Okay.
I think we've talked a lot about this before, but that is learn the ability and tricks around mental resets.
Yeah. State control.
Yeah, state control, like either whether it's music, whether it's a way of pumping yourself back up. It's just you need some way to kind of reset your state of mind between rejections, between bad dates, all of these. And yeah, I think we have a whole video on that somewhere. One of the streams we did that.
Probably today is number 111. So, like, name a topic, it's probably in there somewhere. So here's something that I've done specifically, and I've done this quite recently. I know that this may be hard to believe, but even Papa Jack doesn't feel at the top of his game all the time, right? There have been days when I've gone out to, this happened maybe, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. There was one night that I was just off. Like, I was supposed to meet like 3 or 4 different people all out at Corner Pub. And we had all said, like, yeah, I'll be there at 8:30. And so I showed up at 8:30. And I even kind of hurried to get there. I showed up at 8:35. And there was nobody there. I mean, there were other people there, but none of my people were there. And so I just kind of hung out outside thinking like, oh, they'll be here in 5 minutes, maybe by 8:45. By 9 o'clock, nobody had showed up. And I was just sitting outside. I was exhausted. I'd been working, probably filming and editing videos all day. I was in no social mood whatsoever. I felt like shit. I was in the bar with my earphones in. That's how just like out of it I was. And I'm standing outside in the smoking section, just like there's a light drizzle of rain coming down on me. I didn't even take my backpack off. Like, I'm just standing there alone with my backpack on and my earphones in the bar like a fucking dork, which is how I felt at the time. And I was like, okay, I don't know if they're coming or not, but whatever. I'm already out. I'm not going back home. So let's just go ahead and flip this around and treat it as if they're not coming at all. Fuck them. Fuck them all. Let's make new friends. Friends who are actually here. Fuck those guys. They're not here. And so took my earphones out, set my backpack down, and I just turned around and I saw a couple of Korean guys sitting at one of those tables. And I was like, what's up, guys? I'm pulling up a chair. Let's make friends. And I just struck up a conversation with them. And then that led to me flirting with one of the bartenders who was walking by picking up glasses. And then that led to some Spanish girls nearby commenting. And they're like, oh, you know everyone here? Or you just always flirt with bartenders? Okay, cool. And then now I've got 2 groups of friends here. And then now all of a sudden I'm friends with everybody out in the smoking section. I'm feeling right back up to being me, to doing the thing that I'm doing, because this is me in my element. I just wasn't letting myself be myself in that moment. I was letting other bullshit that was on my mind weigh me down and stop me from doing the things that I know I can do and I know make me feel better. But even then, like you get that negative self-talk in your head. I was standing there thinking, I wish I had opened up a conversation with these people earlier, because now that I've been standing here looking like a dork for half an hour, it's going to seem really fucking awkward when all of a sudden I turn around and I'm like, friends, right? But I just had to push through that. And I was like, okay, I understand what you're doing, ego, and fuck you. But punch it in the face, double down, turn around, do the thing that you know you're going to do. So sometimes you have to toss the shit out of your head. Sometimes you have to punch the ego in the face. Sometimes you have to find the thing that pumps you up, whether that's music or getting a shot or making new friends or whatever it is that you're feeling like, this is the thing that's missing right now. And if I had that thing, which in that moment was my friends, okay, well, I can't make them be here, but I can replace them, you fuckers. And so, okay, cool. Then do that, right? There are a million answers to this question, but basically ignore the ego, push through, do a thing that you know you're going to enjoy, and that should get you back into a higher state, which then creates a more positive reinforcement loop, that virtuous cycle of positivity that brings you up and up.
And for most of you guys out there in Korea, I'll say the easiest fix to this issue is always gonna be just go get beer pong. That will fix everything.
Yeah.
Because it creates a whole different state of mind around it. Like then instead of you focusing on the girls, then everyone focuses on you. And you can draw people in rather than having to be invited in to the situation.
Exactly.
And I've noticed, at least for almost everyone that goes out with us when we're out in, for example, corner pub, is that the second we say the beer pong is on, everyone's mind's reset because now they got to find someone to play with.
There you go.
And that works every time, almost no matter how low you are before we start. The second that pitcher is on the way to the table, everyone is scrambling to find their team partner, and it works every time.
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool. You've got 45 seconds to find a girl to play with. Otherwise, you're rolling solo and you're going to feel like a dork. So figure it out, right? And everybody does, right? You get it done. So yeah, it could be anything. Find a way to hit a mental reset button somehow. And if you're on a date, a change of venue, of environment can make a big difference. Moving from sitting to standing, so going to a beer pong game or something. Or like if you're at corner pub, moving it from downstairs to upstairs. Even something as simple as that can create a reset point where you can then start over and go back to high energy or get away from whatever it was that was bringing you down. There are 50 ways to reset your mental energy while you're out and about.
Yeah, all right, I think cool. That covers it all.
Any other questions? Nobody else put anything in?
No, that was the last one.
Cool. Perfect. And in that case, we have done a good job. All right, boys. Well, that was a good time today. Thank you guys for joining. And if you haven't done it yet, get your free access to the new mini course while you can. The link is in the top of the description below. And you just enter the coupon code JNC. And that will get you 100% off so that you can get access to the course before anybody else in the public gets access to it. All that I ask in return is that you do 2 things for me that will cost you nothing. 1, hit the like button on this video. And 2, when you use that script and it does work for you, throw me a little video testimonial saying how it worked for you so that other guys will know how good it is and can benefit from the message. So that's all that I ask in return for giving you the course for free. I really appreciate you guys for joining, and special thank you to Paul, my lovely assistant, my Vanna White of the evening. Much love. Thank you so much. And without further ado, I'll catch you guys next week. Papa Jack out.